Today we're going to be learning about aligning tables in Microsoft Word. Specifically, we're going to deal with how to convert a table to text. This is another way of creating a table from text that's already been typed into our document. We're going to show you how to set the column widths and the row heights. Select the alignment of a table. That would be where the text and the cells are going to be aligned. And then finally, we're going to show you how to center the entire table either horizontally or right align it if that's what you would want to do. For this, we're going to need to open a file from our book. Lesson 15 is where we're at. So we're going to go to page 219 in the book, and we'll open this doc file up on page 219. Enable editing, and we're going to save this file to Documents, creating a folder with today's date, opening that folder, and adding our initials to the file. Here you will see text that's already been pre-entered into our document. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this a little better. Now I have my show hide turned on, and the reason why I wanted to see that show hide is I wanted to point out to you that this is a tabbed list. And so when we put this into our table, you'll see that it should automatically put these items into the appropriate cells. I'm going to go ahead and select all of the text that's here. Select all of the text. Actually, notice there's no tab on the first line. So I'm going to select, rather than all the text, I'm going to select from paper goods down to decorations. With this text selected, I'm going to go to Insert Table. What I want to do, notice that the grids do not appear when you do this. And that's because we have selected text. We need to convert that text to a table. With my text selected and going into the Convert Text to Table, I can see that it has rightly selected 2 rows and 4 columns. If I had selected this party budget before I went in here, it may have miscalculated on the number of rows, and I might have had to adjust that. But it is correct. I'm sorry, not rows, but it would have miscalculated on columns. But it is correct the way it is. So we're going to go ahead and click OK to this. Now I do want to create a row for this party budget, so I'm going to click anywhere in this top row. And as we learned about in the last lesson, we can insert new rows. I'm going to go to the Layout tab, Layout, Insert Above. That inserts a new row above with which I can now move party budget. I'm going to select the party budget text, point at that selected text, and drag it into that top cell. So I now have my table with all my text in it. What I want to do is this table has a lot of extra white space in there, so I don't necessarily want that extra white space. I want to make this column smaller. There's a few ways I can do this. If you move your mouse over that line that is in between columns 1 and 2, you can drag your mouse in order to resize the column. While that does work, the quicker way, pointing at that same location, is to double click When I double click with my mouse, it will automatically resize that column to fit the text in the column. I can do the same thing with the second column. I'm going to come over here to the end of the line, and I can double click in order to make that happen. So I now have a resized table. Now in reality, this is a little bit wider, this is a little bit tighter than I'd like it to be. So I'm going to select column 1 again, selecting the entire column. And on the Layout tab, another way we can adjust the width of a column is we can set the width right here, as well as the height. We're going to set the width of this first column to 1.5 inches. So I'm going to take this and just use my up arrow here to set the width of the first column to 1.5 inches. In a similar manner, I can set the height of my rows. The book wants us to select from paper goods down through decorations, so I'm selecting all 4 of these rows, not including the party budget, and they want to set the row height to 0.5. Right now it's set to 0.19 on my screen. I'm going to bump this up to 0.5. Clicking in the paper goods cell, what I want to do is I want to change the alignment of this text. I want you to notice also on the Layout tab that we have these 9 alignment options. If I click on this second one right here, what that would do is that would move my text to the left side but in the middle. I could also align it to the bottom on the left side. And I've got the other options that are available as well. What they want to do here is they want to actually align that text to the middle center of the cell. We're going to repeat that process for the other 3 items. So I'm going to select all 3 of these cells, and again select my option to move this to the center middle of the cell. The numbers, however, we're going to select that text there. We want the numbers also to appear in the middle, but rather than appear in the center middle, we want them to appear to the right edge. The reason for that is so that the decimal places will line up a little more, and it will make the numbers look a little better on these particular items. The next thing I want to do is I would like to center this party budget across the entire first line. So I'm going to select both of the cells in the top row. If I hit the center right now, all that's going to do is center it within the cell, and that's not really what I'm looking to do. What I want to do is I want to center this across both cells, basically across the table. Well, that is what we have this Merge Cells button for. Again, on the Layout tab, Merge Cells allows me to merge these 2 cells into one cell. And because earlier I had set the alignment to center, it automatically centered the text in the middle of those cells. Another thing you can do is you can set what are called cell margins. Just like a page has a margin, the amount of white space around the outside, a cell also can have a margin. If we go into the properties of a cell, go into the properties, and actually I said a property of a cell, it's actually the properties of the table. What I can do is I can select the cell itself, okay, and I can set the margins. Here's my alignment for this cell. I can click on Options, and I can set my cell margins. I'm going to set my cell margins not for this. I want to uncheck this because I'm setting the margins specifically for this item. I'm going to set my cell margins to 0.1, 1/10 of an inch, all the way around. Okay. Top, bottom, left, and right. So for party budget, there's going to create a bit of a margin around the text, which is going to increase the height of this. The margin isn't a problem on the left or the right side because party budget is in the middle, but it did create an more open table here, cell. The last thing we're going to do is I want to center this entire table on the page. So I want to center it. Now, if I simply select the items here and I try to center, I went to my Home tab for a second, and I want to center, all that's going to do is center the text within the cells. That's not my goal. I want to center the whole table. For that, I do need to actually use the Select All button. Once the Select All button has been selected, then using the Center button on my Home tab, it will allow me to center this entire table on the page. Clicking away from the selected text, I now have my table, Party Budget, that is aligned on the page, centered. I have my text aligned within the cells. Some of the text is centered, some of the text is aligned to the right side, which is what my goal for this lesson was. We are done with this particular lesson, so go ahead and save this file and close it. Save and close this file. In this lesson, we converted text to a table by using the Insert tab and using the Convert to Table option. We learned how to set the column widths and row heights using the Layout tab. We also adjusted the alignment of the cells in the table by using that Alignment tab as well. And then we wrapped up the lesson aligning the entire table horizontally on the page by using the Select All button on the table, and then on the Home tab just using the Center button. If we wanted to right align the table, we could have also used that Align Right button, and it would have accomplished that as well.